Hello and welcome everybody back once again to World of Racing. We're back for the MX-5 night and we are here for round 2 as we go to the home track of not just World of Racing, but also the man sitting right next to me, Jackson Lambros. Jackson, how are we doing on this lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever these fine folks are in the world?
Afternoon for me. Well, we're getting into evening territory, and I think it's kind of a stretch to call it my home tracks, considering it is a 7-hour drive for me and for most of World of Racing. But it is the place I've called home. Been doing content for them for a vast majority of this year. I've already been there 2 times for IMSA and IndyCar. It'll be my 3rd here next weekend when I'm off to there for Monterey Car Week and the Rolex Motorsports reunion. But no, this track is phenomenal. One of the few races or racing circuits that the real life MX-5 Cup has visited. And you talk about motorsport pedigree of the duo that we are going to be visiting tonight. Somehow, some way, this beats it by a Texas mile. One of the most, not just iconic circuits in America, but in the world, and easily one of the most iconic corners. The 60-foot drop of the corkscrew, you pair that with some phenomenal overtaking opportunities like Rainy Curve and Andretti Hairpin. You have no time to really exhale and breathe. Everything comes here so quickly, and it is going to be an absolute riot. Expect nothing but a show here in Monterey tonight.
Absolutely. You mentioned the corkscrew. 5.5 stories in 5 seconds these drivers are going to be tackling, and it's an absolute thrill. That's just a little teaser of what is to come here tonight. Not to mention the fact, as you mentioned, Jackson's a few hours away from World of Racing. To be specific, it is 73 laps of Laguna Seca from our fastest driver from the free practice session. Now, how do you get this number, Mike? You might ask. Well, let me tell you. Lap time 138. That's what we're expecting from our top time so far, and that's going to take roughly 143 laps in terms of time to get there. It's just distance. It's all math, baby. It's 5.5 hours, or 5 hours and 5 minutes without traffic.
That baffles me, Mike, because I feel like so frequently as broadcasters we are considered as being numbers or being words people, and absolutely not numbers people. And I was joking immediately after that. How many laps of Barcelona do you reckon it would take to get from Monterey to Barcelona? We might need to do some math or have someone in chat crunch some numbers for us, because I think that might be a little bit over our pay grade for figuring that out. But I'm saying at least 4-digit number. I'm reckoning.
Yeah, I think so. The short answer is yes, I think. But that's a great point. A warm welcome to everyone joining us here, whether you're down at World of Racing or if you are at home watching this from the comfort of your living room or your office. We thank you very much for joining us here at the World of Racing YouTube. If you hit that subscribe button for more content we have coming up, the 2.4 hours as we get ready, of course, to tackle yet another one. You can head on down to either one of your locations in Tustin or Pasadena. In fact, I think Kansas City, Kansas gets involved with those 2.4s as well. So if you are around for that one, do go down and check it out. It's certainly worth a trial. I have my gloves. I left my gloves over there. I'm not going to get up and get them right now because my green screen's in the way, but that's beside the point. World of Racing is awesome and you should check it out. Now, folks, we're going to get into qualifying. Now, the qualifying, you might ask, what's going on with quali? Well, we're going to jump into it here and I am going to explain. So as we head on down here, we see a whole lot of cars on track, but not much going on. But the times, they're changing. 139 from Andrew, 140, 139, 139. So what this is a solo qualifying, and this is Assetto Corsa, so this is how they represent it. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth between the comms box here and the free or in the open qualifying session here. And unfortunately, we don't get to see the cars driving around on track on this occasion, but we do get to see the times updating. So you can see Andrew pole position right now with Josh behind Andreas in 3rd and Ali currently 4th. We know from last week that David, it's a force to be reckoned with. He took the victory in race 1. Ryan taking 2nd position. Jackson and Ali in 3rd. Are we going to be seeing the same results this time? Currently, David, nowhere to be found.
You go back and you look at the stats from the last season. We did MX-5 Cup, Mike, and that's not really surprising to see those guys running up. Like, you look at both of these circuits, and these are kind of places that formulate chaos. They require such high levels of focus, and there's always constant pack racing, constant pressures from the guys behind you. So I'm really, really expecting, we could absolutely see one or two guys really, really figure it out, especially at Laguna and break away off rip. But, we could see those really big side-by-side packs here, and that would not surprise me at all. MX-5 Cup, by the way, for everybody curious at home, no stranger to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Been racing from 2004 to 2017, then a couple of brief stints in 2019 and 2021, and 2 years back-to-back, 2023 and 2024. What kind of pace we saw in the real-life world. Jeremy Fletcher able to crank out a 136.288. That was last year in an NDMX5 Cup. And again, you can take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, because the version of the track that we have here in Assetto Corsa, not fully accurate to the newer repaved edition of WeatherTech Raceway that just got that revamped fall of 2023. And we talk about some of the major changes there, how quickly that grip has deteriorated since the track was initially built. And I mean, it's high grip. It's incredibly, you have so much more runoff, and it's so much more forgiving now with some of the fastest corners on track actually having runoff. So you still have a lot of that classic challenge still on tap here, Mike.
No, absolutely. And, talking about some of the caliber of racers out here as well, I wanted to mention one thing that also has happened on this track is the fact that the World Sim Series was hosted their finals on this circuit, and I actually had the pleasure of commentating that with Jake Sperry, so big shout out there to him. But that was, of course, won by Albert Palahi, in case you didn't tune in, as, hey, I don't blame, but hey, it was, of course, live a few months ago at this point. Calicavisto, though, took the victory here, and we don't see him out there tonight, but the one thing that I do know about MX-5 racing here when it comes to, especially we get into the upper calibers, and yes, at the sim centers and at World of Racing here, we don't necessarily have we're not apex drivers, okay? Let's just put it how it is. We got a little mix of everybody. We got some very, very talented drivers mixed in with some lesser talented drivers mixed in with some newer drivers. That's just how it is. World of Racing, we offer something for everybody, and so we try to keep it fair for everybody as well. But what we're gonna see tonight is pack mayhem and chaos. That's what MX-5s are made for. They're made for bumping, they're made for banging Jackson, and they're made for a good time all the way around. And qualifying here coming down to an end, let's take a look at the results here as we come down to it. 30 seconds left, and we can see Andrew currently on pole position, Donovan behind in second, Daniel rocking third, with Josh just pipping behind him in fourth, nearly 10,000 separating them. But the times, they are not far apart. And again, talking about that pack racing, this is what this equates to.
It's so funny because, I've spent the past 2 weekends out doing go-kart racing and commentating on that with my friends at Kart Chaser. And immediately you hop back in the booth here for World of Racing, and it feels so familiar just because you have that feeling of pack racing, of low power, but very, very high grip, and a reliance on mechanical grip at that, and the ability to run in packs, use your bumper, but not totally rely on it like a cup car, shall we say, or a NASCAR Cup Series car. And it's just a very, very physical, engaging kind of racing. And I think that's why everybody, both in the real and virtual world, love it.
Absolutely. You get to see some classic figures in both the sim and in real life as well. Sally Mott, for example, real life racing driver for the MX-5s and a sim racing driver for them as well. And currently trying to get a sponsorship from Mott. So good luck to her. It's, of course, no relation between the two, but hey, not yet. That's the key, right? No. Anyways, we get down to it here. The qualifying session is done and dusted. Andrew has taken it, and by quite a margin, to be honest. It's going to be very difficult, I think, to keep up with him at this stage. 1 second ahead of Donovan, but the rest of the pack is going to be eventful. Donovan, Daniel, Josh, Ollie, Andreas, David, all within the 39s. Bradley, Tim in the 40s. 41s also quite thick in terms of the names down there, and all the way way down to Hayden, Jacob, Robert, Ray, and Mark, and Mike, being myself as the spectator, in 20th position. So don't worry about that one.
Very close, actually, on real life pole position pace. And I think you take out that 2 seconds of where the real life guys found that extra pace. It's in the extra grip in the repave. It's in the runoff. So that really kind of maths out. I will say, with how knife edge the spacing of this field is, you see, you know, the top half of your field running within the 39s and you know, the whole, you know, top 75% of this field within 2 seconds. How about Andrew for really, really getting this figured out and almost putting an entire second on Donovan in second? So that's immediately something I'm afraid of if I'm rolling off outside of row number 1 or from row number 2. I need to apply pressure immediately rolling off into Andretti Hairpin, because if I'm not making moves and immediately applying pressure, that guy's got something figured out either in his car or in this track that I don't, and he's going to immediately sail into the open blue if he has his nose clean.
Yeah, and with Andrew, we've seen him make mistakes in the past, so maybe if you can get behind him and force that pressure early, he might end up off the track into a barrier. It's certainly not out of the question, as last time around, Andrew, he finished... Where did he finish? He didn't finish, did he? Was Andrew not in the last race? Either way, I guess not.
He may have not been.
Yeah, or he dropped below the top 20, one of the two. But he certainly didn't have the greatest result if that was the case. But we've known to see him in the past in terms of, again, having a couple incidents, and it typically is from the pressure from behind or getting into those thick battles and that pack racing. But that's what causes anyone to make mistakes. That's when the tension is as thin as a knife's edge. And Donovan... well, he knows how to crack that open. He ended up last time around also not having a great finish or a finish at all. I don't think he was here for the last week. But David, the one to keep an eye on, 7th position. I think that's where he started in the last race as well.
I think so.
He seems to be quite consistent in terms of the race pace, but not quite there in qualifying. But he's just outside of the picture.
But again, I feel like with how quick these guys are able to really, really bunch up, we talk about that karting sort of way this mimics this racing. You're going to get a lot of opportunities if you're in the back half of this grid to move forward, and not just move forward, but really figure out the lines of fast guys. So if Donovan or Daniel, you know, running off second and third are able to get to the bumper, you're running slow enough and with low enough grip where you can really, really mimic the line, the breaking points, the apexes of the guys in front of you, and not really risk getting into the back of someone. And if you do, it feels like the harm is relatively minimal. You're not invincible, and it's not like you can absolutely ram into someone without shipping them, but there's a little bit of comfort, and you can argy-bargy to an extent. So a lot of opportunity for you to have a study session in the opening half of this race. Learn from the guy in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And to really get to that down to the wire stage, it's 20 minutes on the clock. So a long time to play that game of chess, which we often say is chess at 200 miles an hour. These cars, maybe not quite 200 miles. Yeah, $120 will give it or take 0 to 60 in about 3 to 5 business days. And in terms of the braking response, quite good. That's where these cars do shine. They're extremely light. So there's really not much to stop when it comes down to it. In fact, the fuel probably weighing just about as much as the car. Maybe not, but certainly not far off. Race start, by the way, in about 2 minutes. So do expect that here very, very shortly. We're just building up currently. The drivers taking a little breather as it was a long free practice and then qualifying session. And the nerves, this is when they start to build. The one thing, though, I do love about World of Racing, when I did take part down in the Tustin location, of course, down in the district, Pasadena location available as well as Kansas City, Kansas, but seeing the opponent that you're racing with is just something else. When you get to go battle alongside them for a couple minutes, or I mean, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it doesn't matter how long. And then afterwards, you get to go and talk to them and say, wow, that was a really cool battle. Look them in the eye. And the camaraderie at World of Racing is so electric. And they're so open to people coming in as well. That's the best part is you get a lot of people that you would think, oh, well, it's a closed off kind of tight-knit community. No, absolutely not. Everybody is so welcome, and you get to see so many different types of people there as well. So big shout out to everybody that I did meet, of course, when down there, and hopefully get to meet in the future. So big shout out to all of our drivers. We're going to get into it very, very shortly.
And I'll tell you what, really quickly, the huge shout out to Sigmund Agrale for giving these guys some top-notch full motion simulators. I've had the opportunity to ride down the corkscrew at pace, and while nothing is going to fully duplicate that in real life, you get pretty close here with the Sigmund Agrale. That stomach in your, that heart in your stomach kind of feeling, that absolute negative G. So a phenomenal mimic of what it is real life. Let's experience it with 20 cars here at Laguna.
Andrew on pole position, Donovan alongside. 20 minutes on the clock, folks. And let's go racing at World of Racing. Green is out, and Andrew is off to a very solid start here. Donovan creeping up in the background with Daniel still rocking in third. It's going to be an attempt, though, from Josh down to the inside here as we get down to the Andretti hairpin. Side by side in the background, and a dive bomb potentially from Donovan. Andrew taking the wide line into the first corner, but really holding off, going for the slow as fast approach in the background. It's nearly 3 wide. Door panels clattering, but it is green flag racing here as we get ready to head up the hill.
One car around further back, watching the 23 purple car of Josh fending off Daniel and Ali. These are these freight trains we were talking about earlier, coming out of turn 4 on the power as soon as possible, trying to get a good run. Turn 5 maybe an overtaking opportunity in these cars, and you can see just how much the suspension travels and these cars dive on the brakes of all the GT cars in options and major sims. You get that so much more than any other, and the fast turn 6 is really where these guys are going to struggle for grip. Fast kink to the right, up to the corkscrew for the first time. Are we going to see some Zanardi-esque moves? Daniel's thought about it, but man, Josh shut the door as both of them got on the power immediately and come in lockstep as we head down the hill and down the rainy curve for the first time.
Daniel looks very hungry. You could see through before they got onto the Rahal straight into the dipper. He was very keen on going for an overtake in a very dangerous location. So trying to give Josh that little extra hurry up, that kick up the backside to say, let's get going here. As in the background, Mr. Consistent Ahmad battling alongside with Tim and Tim. Yes, you guessed it, folks. Tim battling Tim G once again. Who is the imposter? Your guess is as good as mine, quite frankly. Tim in 8th, Tim in 11th. Continuing on.
It's always
Ahmad here in the mix, but yeah,
find each other on track here. Big dive to the inside from Tim, as again, numerous options for lines here through the Andretti airpin. Either carry that speed to a late apex or work it into a double. Tim likes the late apex. He likes making 2 moves going into turn number 4. Almost was 2 for the price of 1. We've got 1 car around. It's David coming out of 3.
Our race winner from the first race of the last week. You hate to see it. David plummeting down the order like a stone in the Marianas Trench. Not where he wanted to find himself at this stage. Tim finding himself to the inside of Ahmad, though, as they battle it out. The 007, that's Bradley, excuse me, getting the overtake sent onto him. Tim here, hungry like a wolf. Can he seal it? Yes, he can. Through they go up the hill, and shoved off in the background is not Tim. Tim doing the shoving. This is not confusing at all.
Had to narrow up there. It gets so fast. Here we go with a Zanardi move. Who's that in the Pennzoil car? I want to say Tim, as we are somehow able to go 2 wide. Another car gets shipped at the top of the corkscrew. I believe that's Lee, who got a little bit of the chrome horn. A lot of guys really taking some brave lines down the corkscrew further back, but still side by side. Tokyo drifting that thing. Timmy in the 87 got on the gas immediately and went full opposite lock, battling with the fellow Tim and Robert. Ride him, cowboy.
Absolutely electric action, and this is just 4 minutes complete here. We're 2 laps down, and we can see Tim G hanging on by a thread right now. Ahmad under pressure, and Sean up ahead right now, a name that I don't think I'm too familiar with in terms of the World of Racing Championships. Oh, Tim G, he's not an imposter anymore. He's well known by Sean, as he went directly into his side panel and used him as a little bit of a braking assist there. Tim G, that is, continuing the battle forward with his rival, Tim, on the background. Again, folks, you want this to be as confusing as possible? You got it.
Further back, looks like David was able to clear Robert just behind your screen there for P13, and now we finally see that field start to dilute. You look up front, and the fears that I was giving you guys before the start of this race is kind of starting to become realized. Andrew already with a 2.5 second, 2.7 second lead over Donovan is in open air. And I think a big contributing factor to that, Mike, is all of the scraps further back, as we might have problems for Tim G, who maybe got a little bit of a taste of his own medicine. I'm not sure if we can get a replay there, but might have gotten doored going through turn number 6. It surprised me how much these guys have tried running side by side through turn number 6. Tight left-hander, track gets narrow, and someone's got to give and lift up to make that move work.
Unfortunately, that's the way of the beast. That's Laguna Seca and how it goes here. A lot of these corners are 2 does not go into 1, and you got to find out the hard way on some occasions. A little battle is developed, though, in second right now. Andrew may be disappearing into the sunset here in Monterey County. But right now, Josh, he is hot on the back of Donovan and looking for a overtake. And this is in Los Salinas, isn't it? Not Monterey, but either way, it's fine. I know my geography. Josh on the back. This could clog them up, and Daniel could potentially become into this as well. He's 1.5 seconds back, so it's definitely a little bit of wishful thinking right now, but still with 14.5 minutes to go, anything is possible in motor racing, and I think we're going to see it.
You would be incredibly forgiven if you thought that this was in Monterey, because literally everyone calls it Monterey. It's been the Monterey Grand Prix for both IndyCar and IMSA when they visited, but it is indeed in the province of Salinas, and Josh is going to try to work his way into the border of P2. Here we go, side by side up the Rahal Straight. Who's got the confidence on the anchors? Josh goes very deep and is able to shut the door. Could we see a swing back from Donovan? Tries the over-under and now tries the long way around as we work through Rainy Curve. Is not able to get there, but is keeping Josh honest. Josh in the 23 knows that if he's got pace, he's had to clear Josh for P2 to try and close that now 5-second gap to P2. Here comes Donovan with a major send from the top rope into turn 11, side by side as we cross the stripe now for the 5th time. What an incredible race. A runaway for Andrew, but anybody's game for the final 2 steps on the podium.
And as predicted, enter Daniel into the conversation. And heck, I didn't quite see Ali in this conversation as well, but welcome him in this 4-bet position 2. And oh, a clattering of the door panel there. Donovan getting shoved to the wayside as the 57 of Daniel makes his way through. And Ali says thank you very much as well. Or, well, decides to hand it back for free. Goes a little deep off onto the gravel. Donovan counts his lucky stars. Ali in the background, though, is going to still apply that pressure. He needs to gain back, though, as Andreas, look at that. Welcome to the 71. So many drivers getting into this top step conversation, but Andrew is licking his lips at this prospect because 5.5 seconds is the gap. Barring disaster, I do not see him getting caught.
If you do not finish an MX-5 race with a bent mirror, some slightly dented fiberglass, and some tire marks over the fenders, you've not had the full MX-5 Cup experience. I don't mean that in complete disregard for human life, but some ethical shipment of others, using your car and the fact that you don't have splitters or spoilers that you're afraid to get bent. And that allows you to kind of bang and beat on the guy next to you. And that's what makes this series so unique. Why you see so many guys from the NASCAR Truck and Xfinity series run over and drive it. Why Connor Zilic has been so freaking dominant in this class when he's ran. And why it's been such a major stepping stone for the Wonder Kid. And why he's dominated in Xfinity. And we see so much of that right now. And it's how a lot of these guys, Mike, have worked their way to the front of this field.
Man, I cannot keep my eyes off of this battle right now. You can see so many different cars in the shot. Currently from P2 all the way back to P6. And we still have 11 minutes to go here. This is when the gloves come off. We're going to start to see the drivers get a little more aggressive. And you've already seen some door banging, but expect a bit more. Expect some jostling for positions, as really there's only 1 to 2 potentially, but really only 1 overtaking opportunity on this track, and that's really the Andretti hairpin, Jackson.
And guys have been really, really brave in jamming on the inside of the corkscrew, doing the inside of Rainy Curve. But no, you look at the Andretti hairpin, and that really is your top opportunity for a lot of reasons. It's the end of your longest straightaway, and you're able to, it's one of the widest parts of the racetrack, and you're able to go and experiment, try different lines, the double apex, hugging the inside, carrying that speed, running it wide, and kind of using that second apex as a launch pad. You have so many opportunities to experiment when trying to attack, defend, a lot of really good things you can do from both ends of a battle going into Andretti. And of course, that hasn't stopped a lot of people from overtaking outside of Rahal Straight and turn 11. We saw it earlier with Josh and Daniel.
Yeah, it's just an attempt, though. It's such a dangerous move as the track. There's a little compression. It's why I call it the Dipper. It's not officially called that. That's a Mike-dubbed corner name. But it is. It has a little compression there, and that unsettles the car. And it really, there's a big fat sausage curb on the left as well. And if you run deep there, your line is pretty much done in terms of that Rahal Straight entirely. Your speed is going to be cooked. These cars, again, I go back to the fact that they're all about momentum. They have 152 brake horsepower and a 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds. You want to keep that momentum moving when it is, and if you have to slow down driving off the circuit, that can be the end of a battle really quick. You lose that slipstream, and then you're going to be having a very long rest of your race, as sort of I think Bradley has felt. I think he's kind of the one to look at right now. 3.1 seconds to the good of Andreas, and really no prospect in sight for Hope. Andreas potentially here in a little bit, but even if he was to catch, these guys have such a good pack going on. They're all helping each other, and of course the slipstream being cumulative is going to help everyone else out as well.
I think at this point, everyone is sort of starting to realize it's pretty likely that Andrew is going to run away with this thing, barring a mistake or lap traffic potentially being a factor. And where we've got some cars on track right now, that's certainly not impossible. Some other quick food for thought when thinking about this track and doing one of the free clinics here with World of Racing. Donovan Janis, the owner of World of Racing, was doing a great walkthrough of Laguna Seca, considering he's ridden here on motorcycles, done track days here. And one of the reasons why Andretti Hairpin is one of the prime overtaking opportunities is it's one of the true heavy braking zones on this track. Turn 11 not quite carrying enough speed, and the minute I raised my hand, he knew I was going to ask about the corkscrew, and he explained it's because of that over the crest nature at the end of the Rahal Straight. If you are jamming on the brakes going over that hill over turn 7 into the corkscrew, all that's going to do is make the car upset, as going over the crest, the suspension unloads, the entire car gets loose. So it's technically two medium braking zones. Quick tap of the brakes in turn 7 to get the momentum down, and then a little bit harder going, but once the car evens out, all the way to the right going into turn 8. One of the tougher areas, not just because of the drop in the blindness of the corner, but because of how you have to treat it on the anchors.
Absolutely, and talking about the length of braking zones as well, this is why MX-5 racing is so good, is due to the fact that they have such a long braking zone. If you go and look at the statistics for overtakes in a race, you can go and look at one, for example, Formula 1, very wide cars. When I say very wide, pretty much double the width of these MX-5s, maybe not quite, but not far off. Who is that? That was somebody off the circuit there. I don't think it was Andreas. A back marker is what it looks to be there. But long braking zones for these cars, short braking zones for Formula 1 cars. And as a recipe, there's only 50 plus overtakes per race. Whereas you go and look at Formula E, for example, where they have very long braking zones due to the fact that they don't actually have brakes. They have regenerative braking, which reverses the motor, to put it simply. It will allow for more overtaking opportunities. You're allowed to dive bomb. In Formula 1 racing, you don't get a dive bomb as much, and that's where you get to see the drama, and that's why MX-5 racing is just like watching a pack of, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't use that expression, pit bulls. It's very aggressive, it's very loud, and well, maybe not loud, they're little 2-0s, but either way,
yeah,
it's a very, very door-banging excursion, we'll just put it lightly.
The IMSA paddock literally dubs the MX-5 Cup as the Beehive Unrestricted 2-liter inline 4, and that's actually a change halfway into this generation of MX-5 Cups, because they were running so close to one another. So often you would have bent catalytic converters, or I guess bent mufflers in this case, and that would become fire hazards, as we see Ali taking a look around the long way of Donovan working through turn number 5. No move yet here, but an attempt of an over-under actually gets to the door. Someone's going to have to lift as we work through turn number 6. Is anyone going to give up? 24 is really making that stick, and Ali able to jam it up the inside. He's not out of the woods yet. Donovan able to carry that speed, and if anyone knows this braking zone into Laguna Seca, it's the man who's driven this place in real life, side by side. And Ali gets on the loud pedal just a little bit too quickly and loses all of that momentum, loses that spot once again.
I thought Phil Collins was smiling down on Ali there briefly, but no, he was in fact on a highway to the danger zone. He ended up off the circuit and now position lost. For now, that is. Well, he didn't gain it, I should say. Still on the attack. Donovan doing a great defense there for multiple corners as well. He was under threat for a long while, and it's easy to capitulate under that pressure. But Ali, not giving up, unfortunately, had to give up when it got hard. There we go again, though, downhill with the slipstream. Donovan, he has no helping hand right now, and this is going to be every advantage that Ali could possibly ask for to get this overtake done. It's a question of when, not if, I sense, but there's only 4.5 minutes left, Jackson. Can Donovan hold on?
These are the expensive moves we've talked about, Mike. Donovan has to be absolutely fuming with that move, and something that kind of cost both drivers. Obviously, Donovan's still leading, but that gap to Daniel in front, as he's jonesing to get to the podium right now, or at least have a fighting chance for it. All this extra pressure from Ali is doing is holding both of them up. And at least, you know, you could have hoped, if you're Donovan, that Ali was going to put that pressure in a clean spot, but doing it in one of the quickest parts of the racetrack that forces both of you offline, that's costing major time to both parties involved. Ali, though, gonna take another crack at it. Was a little bit of a look to the outside, a defense line down low there from Donovan. No move just yet as we head down the corkscrew with time running out.
And Andreas may be joining this one again. He's only 1.4 seconds back. We saw that gap before and it came down. It's gonna be a lot of work though for Andreas. Not having that slipstream is gonna be a pain. And Daniel, wait, who is that? No, that's the 62. That's,
I want to say
Mark?
Lap traffic further back. Mark, yeah, in the 62.
Yes, it is Mark. There we can see. So he's going to be getting out of the way quite quickly, not playing much of a role, which fair enough. But this has allowed a potential opportunity for Ali. Donovan having taken an alternate line. No, he's got a double slipstream here. Is this going to be enough? Probably not, to be completely honest. The 62 moving out of the way, and that's going to compromise his line anyways. So Ali losing a chance out. Donovan taking the safe line as well, deep through the corner and back onto the track. Well, our top two might be sealed, but the top three, well, I guess third beyond, is certainly in contention. We also want to... okay. Well, that was maybe not the time to... Sorry, Hayden and Robert. I'm not sure what happened there, minus the fact that Hayden clattered Robert into a barrier. Shout out to our two drivers that haven't been mentioned much. That's what I was going to say. My bad. Commentator's curse on that one.
I think for whatever reason, it was like we got the commentator's curse in advance before we were even able to say their names. And without context, we just witnessed the murder of a man going out of the rainy curve. But I'm sure with some more context there of that battle, we would have understood more. Let's hope we don't see the same here as Ali tries to jam it around the outside, going into the hairpin. Donovan being so good, so defensive, and going in the middle, forcing that commitment issue for the 24. I can go to the outside or to the inside, but that line is going to be so narrow to get it done. Ali, though, continuing to dig here through turn 10, using all of that camber and grip on tap. We'll try the long way around into turn 11. Has been so comfortable in making that 24 work, or at least a possibility into that final corner. But by making those moves or making those attempts, you're making it so difficult to make it work in the Andretti airpin. But Ali is making me eat my words through turn 1 in the downhill, and the long way around is what ultimately pays off here for Ali to take it in turn number 2.
He got such a good exit out of the final corner and just capitalizing on that slow in, fast out mentality. Donovan went a bit deep, and then pretty much the rest was history. Donovan, I would have liked to see him cover the inside maybe a little bit harder, but alternatively, is he doing this on purpose? Does he think that he can gain this position back in half a lap's time? This is the final lap, folks. The white flag is out. Andrew will be finishing the race on this occasion, I think. maybe. As we go, Ali, I think he should secure this one. Donovan's going to run out of opportunities unless he does this in the final corner or maybe the corkscrew, but that seems, well, a little bit heinous as he knows himself how dangerous, as you mentioned, his real-life experience on the track. Let's find out. It looks to me like we might get another lap. It's close.
It's going to be close. Watch the 57 on the right-hand side of your screen with the map. Watch Donovan as he jammed it up the inside going into the corkscrew. Little bit of contact between both of them. This brings Andres right back into the mix here in the 71. Gets right to the bumper of Donnie. A little bit of a shove going into turn 10. That's extra pace for Donovan. He's not able to get there, though. He's been thrown to the wolves by Donovan. Here's the big look into turn number 10 from the top rope again. Will he make it stick? Here we go, onto the loud pedal, side by side again. It's such a hard camera angle to tell from this side, but Donovan gets back in line somehow, some way, able to hold on to P5.
The ranks stay as they were. Ollie, I guess, ahead of Donovan. It's the only change we've seen so far. And we get one more lap, folks. Andrew crossed the line with about 3 seconds left. So just by the skin of his teeth, he could have slowed down, but no, he's giving us one more lap of action, and this is what we get side by side between Andreas and Donovan. Can he get the switchback attempt? No, not on this occasion. So we go back down towards the uphill section now. Turns 3 and 4 on the ways now towards 5 and 6. It's the outside line. I'm not sure about this from Andreas, as he's going to be trying to prioritize the exit and maybe get to the inside of the dipper. Instead, he just locks bumpers, and really a futile look.
Late apex, so that was a really good launch there coming out of turn number 5 and just absolutely firing off. Again, another great exit out of 6. This could be a good opportunity. It's going to be so based off of what the choices are for Donovan. Here we go for the final time into the corkscrew. It'll stay status quo, running out of time. Andrew is going to walk away with the opening win here tonight, but who is going to stand on the podium? Daniel, Ali, and Donovan still in contention as we see Andrew finally take the checkered flag. Josh going to bring it home in P2. Here comes the rest. Daniel, nobody home there for the remainder of the podium. Side by side out of turn number 11. Andres watching them both go at it. Here's the run to the line. Who's got more ponies as we come to the stripe of photo finish? And Donovan barely gonna hang on for P4. Ali in 4th. And Andres busted out the popcorn on the way home to 6th.
And Donovan bringing his track knowledge, and he can certainly talk the talk, and now we see he can walk the walk. He steals it away from Ollie at the last second. Andreas, great attempt, but not quite enough. 6th position there for him. Bradley finishing 7th in the number 7. Some say that's fate, some say it's a curse. He'll have to try to break that in the next one. David, with a great result, all things considered. He ended up getting taken out pretty early on in the race and finishing P8. That's nothing to shake a stick at. Tim finishing 9th, Vincent in 10th. And the rest of the field here just coming in behind. Ahmad 11th, Lee in 12th. Tim, G, I think that is, in 13th. Hayden 14th. Sean in 15th. Ray in 16th. Robert 17th. 18th to Mark and Jacob last, but certainly not least. And the one thing here that I've learned from this, Jackson, is, well, MX-5 racing, again, I guess I didn't learn this in this race here. MX-5 racing never fails to disappoint, does it?
No, absolutely not. And I think we're going to get a better example of that as we head into round 2, because you're going to get more overtaking opportunities here as we head into Barcelona. But man, that's what I love about MX-5 Cup, is the feeling that you're really not out of it until the final lap, heck, until the final corner. We saw that there with Donovan and company in that scrap for P4. And, you know, just that feeling that you can really throw haymakers all the way until the bitter end, even if it feels like you're out of it. So a really, really good showing there into Laguna Seca, but we head into Barcelona with these long straightaways, this Formula 1 grade width and runoff. We're going to see some really, really things out driving.
Yes, we certainly are, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we're using the layout with a chicane. So I hate to break it to you folks at home that are wanting the chicaneless layout, myself included. We are going to be using the one with it, so we got 2.9 miles or 4.6 kilometers of action to come. Track made back in 1993, 16 corners, 9 to the right and 7 to the left. And that's all going to be coming at your way very, very shortly, folks. We will be back here in a little bit. Don't go anywhere. And before you do, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button here at World of Racing on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our partner Sigma Intergale for providing some lovely motion simulators. And if you are, of course, down in the area of Southern California, do check out the Pasadena location, the Tustin location, or if you're up north in Kansas City, Kansas, head on over to there. We'll be back in a moment. Try that again. We'll be back in a moment, folks. And welcome back, everybody, to World of Racing. We have gone from California over to Barcelona. We head over to Spain for the Circuit de Barcelona de Catalunya. And again, myself, Mike Noss, alongside Jackson Lambros. We had a race winner on the last occasion. It was Andrew. Josh finishing in second. Daniel in third. Donovan battling it out for fourth and just pipping over Ali with a photo finish at the end, Jackson. Tight battles all the way around. We get to Barcelona. It's a little different track, but the slipstream is going to be ever more powerful down the 1.1 mile straight. How do we expect this to stack up?
So when I'm thinking about the technicality of Laguna Seca and where that separates from Barca, I'm thinking about momentum and optimizing your exits, not scrubbing those tires in those super long opening sectors. We talk about that long left-hander of turn 3 going into Repsol. I really am trying. If I'm on the move, I'm making sure that I'm carrying as much speed as possible and trying to use the tools at my car's advantage to really launch off of these corners. A lot of, make no mistake, it's no Laguna Seca, plenty of elevation change in itself. You especially see that in the second sector. We head down the hill from 5, 6, and 7, back over the crest, the blind right-hander of turn number 9. Final sector to end things off. Going to be plenty of opportunities for these guys to really put it on the line. And again, a really good mix of different corners. This is why Formula One called this home for testing for over half a decade, and why it's still been a world-class testing facility for both race cars and road cars.
I'm also happy to announce for everybody watching and every Barcelona fan out there, this is the chicaneless version of Barcelona. You know what that means, folks? We get to see some overtaking in the first corner. Let's go. For anyone curious what I am talking about, at the end of, let me see if I can go on board with whoever this is. Yeah, sure, this will work. There we go. Ali right now, he is going to be making a right-hand turn. You see that there's some boards that are pointing you to the left. That little exit, that slip road to the right, that's a chicane normally. And the Formula One used that layout for quite a long time until they realized that it sucks and that layout is bad and should feel bad, and we should not use it. And look at this, folks. We're not using it today. So this is the good layout, the one without it. And that is going to be qualifying beginning. Free practice is over. This is again going to be one of those qualifyings where we unfortunately do not get to see the cars out on track. We get to see the lovely design of this pole, but we will see the lap times roll on in. So in the meantime, we're going to head over to the host cams and we'll talk track here as we get to see the times come in. Do we think that David can come back? I still think he won the first race of the season. He ended up coming back through the field, finishing in 7th or 8th. I can't remember which. Can he do it again? And can he take the victory here? I am going to put my money on David.
For me, it comes on, that was clearly David knowing the ins and outs of that track and clearly putting laps in this track car combo before. He clearly knew where the limit was at grip and how to really maximize carrying speed, especially 5 and 6 for Laguna is really what stands out to me. If you're able to really run it at the limits going under the bridge, you've got your stuff really dialed in. I think here it could be another David runaway. But again, we don't know how many laps he's ran in this car, how much past experience he has at this track. And again, you get this super long straightaway from Catalunya into 1. The track itself is just so much wider. I think we're going to get a lot more overtaking opportunities. We look at our finale last season, Mike, how absolutely chaotic that was at Interlagos. I see a lot of that potentially being the case here.
Yeah, I certainly think so as well. Now, we are still early in the championship. Keep that in mind. So we're not going to be seeing as desperate of maneuvers. At least I certainly hope so. But we might. We'll see. Again, the battle between Tim and Tim last round was absolutely electric. It was two titans clashing and the world nearly getting annihilated in the process. Okay, maybe I'm selling it a little bit too much on that case. But either way, it was quite an exciting battle. And it did end in calamity, unfortunately. So, you know, that's racing at its finest, unfortunately. Or maybe the lack thereof its finest. But hey, that's racing, folks. Again, we have drivers of all different calibers. And as I'm talking right now, you know, you folks at home can't see it, but times are starting to roll on in. Ali, top in the time charts with a 2:10, and Tim right behind him with a 2:10 as well. Now, Josh setting a lap of a 2:13, David 2:15. It's very spread out on the banker laps, but they're banker laps nonetheless. In a track like Barcelona, not necessarily the easiest to invalidate on, but once you get into those middle sectors you mentioned where those elevation changes starting to come into play, it's fairly easy to drive off the track at certain parts.
No, absolutely. And in that first sector, you have a lot of concrete runoff still. Turn 3, a great example. And honestly, we're going to see guys maximizing that pace, kind of going halfway across the line on the anchors into Repsol and a couple other corners. But you get to a lot of parts of this racetrack, Mike. It's sand, it's gravel, it's a lot of things that are naturally going to catch you out and not really force you to go and make do some experiments, go on some adventures. So I think another thing we've got to consider here for qualifying, this is a far longer track than Laguna Seca in distance and in time. So you've got to be incredibly strategic for how you approach your qualifying. And, you know, if you don't have before quali, you're already majorly behind because you only have a handful more of opportunities. And with so many more corners, you've got a lot more things for you to think about. Ali out in front right now by 0.3, little bit closer than last time. And Andrew, nowhere to be seen just yet. I mean, nowhere is a stretch, still in P3 and still with 4 minutes to go. So it could really be anyone's game as we're really just tuning in here to look at your top drivers so far. No on-track action for us to view for the time being. But man, it's been a 3-car breakaway so far. Only 3 guys have really unlocked the pace of this track, Ali, Tim, and Andrew, and it's already been a little bit of a breakaway. Not quite to the extent of Andrew to get things started. There's that Andrew lap we were looking for. Josh gets it into the 203s. Pace is coming alive here.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was expecting. That's why I tuned over, as I thought the laps were coming soon. They happened a little later than I thought, but here they are. 203s, 204s, those 210s are irrelevant at this point. The banker laps were just that, a banker. 203 by Josh, your pole position was David. 6th, 204.7 in the sea of 204s currently. Look at that. Drivers all improving. Ahmad, Mr. Consistent with a 205.5, 205.7 for Sean. Donovan with a 206, so he's got to find a little bit of pace there as Tim also goes up into the 205s as well. It's a very, very competitive field indeed. Welcome, World of Racing in chat. Let us know who you are supporting, whether you're watching at home, whether you are, of course, down at World of Racing and watching it live on their TVs in their lounge, either in the Pasadena location, Tustin, or Kansas City, Kansas. Highly recommend checking out any one of those. Let us know. Who do you want to win? Is it Tim? Is it Tim? Or is it Josh? Could be anyone.
Mike, look,
even a boat.
Look at the right side. Yes. Look at the right side of your screen here and notice that it is the full Formula One post 2021 version. We can tell that because of turn 10, that kind of hairpin on the inside all the way on the right. That's Lakaja, and it's the much wider moto variant of that. So a far less sharp corner, a far greater opportunity to overtake once again, and not a lot of real dodginess there for you to chuck it up the inside. A lot more speed carried there, and that kind of kills your opportunity to make a move through 11 and 12. But I think we're going to see a lot less carnage and a lot less of that accordion effect of the fields coming together into that hairpin of turn 10.
Yeah, it's also just, as you mentioned before, it's a different track to Laguna. It's much wider. There's a lot more runoff area, so much more room for mistakes to be made, and a lot better in terms of if they do happen. A lot more grounds for error. Lap times rolling in. Let's head on back down. Let's check those out. Andrew has managed to pip the time charts now. The 203.3 as the times keep continuing to come on in. 203.7 for Josh. 203.9 for David. Daniel, 204.1. So just getting into the 204s there. Top 3, though, in the 203s as it stands. And David is one of them. Is this his redemption arc to take victory once again? Let's find out.
Half a second is still ringing those alarm bells for me with the pace that Andrew has unlocked. And again, you got to anticipate that you're going to need some real aggression early on for anyone to catch, unless someone has not put all of their cards down yet with 50 seconds left on the clock.
And with 1 lap left for some, only some of them are going to be able to complete their laps. Andrew on pole. We just saw actually swap around. We see Donovan and Bradley switching positions as we had some Bradley support in chat as well. So some love being sent out to the 71 as he's currently in 11th position. Looking to find some ground. 26 seconds left in qualifying. That will come down to the end here. And then, of course, the drivers will be able to potentially finish a lap if it's within the allotted time. But Barcelona being a track at 2.9 miles or 4.6 kilometers, it's a long ways around the sun. And hopefully they have time to set another lap here, as currently there's only 3 drivers in the 203s. But a lot of drivers in the 204s is too many to count for me right now with my peanut brain. And so we're going to see some pack action, I think, once again here.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Because, again, wider corners, not you really have to back out of it. But checkered flag is finally out. Everybody across. And, again, Andrew with a huge shot across the bow of the rest of this field. A little bit tighter further back, but I'm really expecting a dogfight here from second back. Josh, David, Daniel, and the Tims are absolutely going to be scrapping it. And again, I'm not going to say this is as much of a runaway for Andrew because everybody's going to have so many more opportunities to close that gap. We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be, looks like to be a much tighter race than Laguna, a track that is, of course, of the home of Andrew. This one across the pond and a couple countries deep. It's maybe not quite as familiar. This isn't the most popular in terms of GT3 tracks when it comes down to the racing. You often see a lot of Spa Frank shops, a lot of Silverstones. You don't see too much Barcelona in terms of your public lobbies, so maybe not the most well-practiced in terms of this circuit, but certainly, of course, the principles do apply no matter where you are in the world on any racetrack, especially in these little MX-5s. They are just a dream to drive. We don't talk about that too much. They're so easy to just throw around. You drive into a corner, you chuck them in, they just stick. You go late on the brakes, you lock them up a little bit. Who cares? It doesn't matter. They're so forgiving. They are so much fun, and they are just on the edge of grip when you want them to be, but well within it when you don't. And they are just a hoot of a time, to be honest. They're very forgiving as well.
I think it's just being predictable, and I don't think there's a better car at this level in the super lights that can really introduce you to driving with your feet. You trail brake, it's going to pivot immediately. You get on the gas a little bit too early, the car is immediately going to kick out and tell you it wants to rotate. So in learning how to really drive off the pedals, you learn so much. You learn a lot actually from the feedback of the wheel as well, because again, with how tight of a steering rack this is and how unsophisticated the suspension is, you've got a lot of feedback going to your hands. And a lot of these guys with these long sweeping corners are going to need every bit of data they can, whether it's from the wheel or from their full motion rigs. Lights about to come on here in Barcelona.
6 red lights to go. It's Andrew and Josh on the top of the podium here for now, but it's a 20-minute race to go, and we go racing at World of Racing immediately. Andrew under pressure, it looks like, from Josh to the outside as they continue the run down towards the first corner. It's a chicane, so the in, then the out. Looking to the outside, we're going to be seeing from Josh. He's going to commit early, pulling out of the slipstream at a very opportune time. David in the background, can he slip his nose potentially into the mix here? It looks like yes, he gets it alongside Josh there just temporarily. Gonna have to back out. And as we get on the way here through this right-hander and down towards Repsol, your overtaking opportunities start to open up slightly, but then they close firmly shut. As we get into the middle of this track, that's when you just have to survive. Looking in the right now, Andrew in his rearview mirror as he sees the side-by-side between Josh and David. They're going at it in the mix. It looks like it's going to be advantage here to the 14 with the red car. You box them out, you take the inside line, and that is going to be Bob's your uncle in the background here. Oh my goodness, David getting hit from the back on Daniel. This is racing.
Difficult braking zone there into turn number 5 as it's downhill. You're asking so much from these front Hankook tires, but still everybody able to get by in one piece. Daniel with a big nudge there out of TV3 to David. Will try and make it work over the blind right-hander of turn number 9. Ramps the inside wheels up and over the curb. Here we go into Lakaja for the first time. We've got lead changes up front. Daniel under fire, Andrew under fire as David goes to the front. We're nearly 3 wide going into turn number 10. And somehow, some way, it's the 287s of Daniel and Andrew out in front. Which 87 is going to come out on top? Andrew still has the front, but it looks to be David leading this entire field in that white and teal machine, working through Europe car. Turn 13, no chicane for us.
Paint exchanged on the entry, paint exchanged at the apex, and paint exchanged on the exit. You wouldn't be able to tell considering they're both the number 87 and they have the same livery. Otherwise, they would look like a rainbow. 3 wide potentially. Are we going to send it 4 wide? Slipstreaming there, being side drafting as the nature, shoving your opponent off of the track. That's a little bit naughty, I do say so. 4 wide in the front, 3 wide in the background. What could possibly go wrong? The 287s back out briefly. Josh and Ali keep the advantage. Andrew holds the inside line as Daniel clips Andrew and sends him into the kitty litter. Contact in the background. The 3 abreast didn't work out either. Lee and Ahmad end up stranded themselves on the beach. It's a long day at the office ahead for some of these drivers, but it's David, it's Andreas, it's Daniel. They come off on top.
It's getting late, to quote, or getting late early, excuse me, to quote Yogi Berra in the way that these guys were driving. And you had to imagine there's no way that 4 abreast was going to work into T1. And they fortunately broke into 2x2s. But despite having that Helicorsa app above in a spotter, just was not able to back out despite the spotter still telling him he had a car outside. And that will be Andrew down into P8, so this will shake up things for sure as Mark now goes and absolutely ships the 29. Tim off once again in that teal kind of Baja Blast colored machine. And another big moment there for the 29 after some chaos at Laguna. Back over to Robert in the khaki 61. Got a big freight train behind with Robert and Ray. As a little bit of a change further up. Oh my goodness, major slide there. I believe that was Jacob who gathered it back up. Couple of big slides to open up here, and David goes off, Tim goes off. What has happened here? Oh my goodness. We are going to re-rack him and try it one more time because that was a very chaotic set of opening stanzas there, Mike.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, let's try again. Okay. I thought we were okay. Andrew on pole position, Josh alongside. For anyone curious what just happened, the stewards have deemed that too crashy of a race, so we're going to try again. Here we go, folks. 6 red lights are on. Andrew on pole, Josh alongside. Let's go once more. David in the background with a very good start right now. Are we going to send it 4 abreast one more time? Why not? No, let's not do that, folks. Please don't. Everyone being on their best behavior so far. Everything looking good. It looks like Andrew's going to be taking to the outside line. Josh there as well. Are we already restarting? We're already restarting. Okay.
We're going to do it again for sure.
What happened?
To speak about that 4 wide kind of incidents. Oh, hi, Robert.
My people need me.
Yes. You talk about the kind of aggression that these guys have, and it's just you're how do I say this? You get so caged in, you almost are releasing a beast once you are, getting yourself to get some prime overtaking opportunities. So people were finally like, yes, overtaking opportunities. I can finally do this. And that's why we saw that level of chaos going into turn number 1 in lap 2. So hopefully we've got some good words here from the people at World of Racing Race Control to kind of tell people, hey, maybe we turn back the aggression a little bit here and try this one more time. I believe we're going to try this one more time, Mike.
Yes. Currently waiting for the server, but yes, we are going to give it another go, of course. The drivers, they are down here for the content. They're going to be getting it, of course. That's what they paid for. So if you are in the area of World of Racing, again, do check it out. Whether you are new to sim racing or whether you're a seasoned veteran, there's something for you. We have coaching, there's training, there is hot laps, there is race sessions, and everything in between that you could possibly imagine, all available on their website. Of course, all information available on the website, and this is for all locations: Pasadena, Tustin, and Kansas City, Kansas. As we, of course, wait, we're going to go take a brief little intermission. We will be back very, very shortly, folks, with the action. And welcome back, folks, to World of Racing. We come back to Barcelona for race 2. What is deja vu? No, of course. We're back here again for the re-racking, the restacking, and the rocking and the rolling of the Barcelona race. Let's go down to the qualifying and take a look at the lap times that have been set. 18 seconds left in qualifying, so the final laps will be rolling on in. There we can see.
Golden question here is anybody going to be able to kind of bring that pace that Andrew has been? And there is, again, that half-second breakaway we've seen so far, Mike. Only guy in the 203s right now as the checkered flag flies. It's going to be another Andrew pull.
Yeah, we saw 3 drivers in the 203s in the previous qualifying, but not able to quite get there. Where's David? David, 7th. Some say it's fate,
boy.
some say it's a curse. He seems to very much like that 7th place grid position. It seems to be a fan or a favorite for Mr. David here. Bradley finishing in 8th this time around. Tim G, so not Imposter Tim, finishing in 6th. Where's Imposter Tim? Oh, it's sus up into 9th. I don't know. Is that cringe? Probably.
It's whatever. I'll tell you what, hats off to David. It's I know it's not a level of consistency that he'd like, but it's consistency regardless. And to be spread out across the board, either getting polls or outside the top 10, I think you would rather kind of put yourself in the mix further back. So obviously not what he'd like, but obviously still putting him right in this battle. So we're going to try this again one more time. 19 cars here at Barcelona. And again, we kind of talked about once you had one lap in, guys were really getting fangs out and trying to seize early opportunities, knowing those breakaways. And I really do think we're going to see a little bit of the same, hopefully toned back just a smidge though.
Yeah, and that's a great point as well that we haven't really brought up much is where do you overtake on this track and how do you make moves? Well, down into, if you look at the mini-map, well, I'm not going to be able to explain this that well, and you can't see my mouse cursor. So we're just going to have to go by corner name, because that's what I have access to. Repsol, that little hairpinny corner on the top left. That's a good overtaking spot into turn 4. You're able to sort of get it down to the outside, which is going to then turn to the inside for seat, which you're able to go deep on the brakes for. After that, you go up the hill into vert. That's when you get into that little pointy tip bit at the top center of the track. It's an uphill sector with a high-speed right-hand corner. You're able to get a good enough run through Campsa and down to Lacacia. That is where the best overtaking spot is minus turn 1. So that's going to be your second best spot into Banc Sabadell as well. Potential opportunities, but more than likely not. On the exit of Eurocar, though, and down through New Holland, Elf into Renault, or Elf into just Elf, the chicane, is going to be your best spot. But here we go, folks. This is going to be the re-rack and the restacking and the race start for the round 2. This is race 4. Andrew on pole position. As we get ready here, 6 red lights are on, and we are green running here for World of Racing, and it's going to be Andrew off to a stellar start, but Daniel, is he going to be contending now to the inside? I think he is. He got a great run. So did Josh in the background. We're going to go 3 wide down to the first chicane here. Is it going to be Ali as well, who's going to take the inside line? Potentially, but I think he's going to be smart enough to stay out of this one. The 55, though, to the outside now, as he's going to just hold on. Josh loses the position. No, that's Daniel. Just it's what? Okay, 55 there is the number 16. So Daniel loses the position to Josh. Andrew is going to be biting a hole in that rear bumper now for second.
Smart for Andrew to back out going into turn 1. Knew he had plenty of opportunities. There's that Repsol line I was looking for earlier on, going kind of splitting that white line on the outside. Looks like some attempts further back there, as I believe Ali is trying to make that move. But now the script flips. Daniel has the inside going down the hill. A little bit of door there being used by the 55 to fully clear that mustard and ketchup 58 just behind. But again, not out of the woods yet as we work our way through the sharp left-hander and up the hill onto TV3. Plenty of chicane and curbing for you to use on the right-hand side there. Ooh, big wiggle there. I want to say Bradley, who went major sideways there and was able to back it up. It was actually Bradley getting into Andres, I believe, as we work our way into Lacacia for the first time. We're 3 wide again. Daniel trying to take the lead from the front. David trying to take P4 from Tim further back, but Daniel is going to go wide. Here comes Andrew, who might get this lead back before they even get back to the stripe.
Daniel had so much speed coming into the braking zone, and a little bit too much, in fact. Can he hold on to Josh right now? He needs to. In fact, he almost runs him off the track there. Tim licking his lips in the background. In fact, he's going for the inside line. Tim, I don't know about that. We're fully committed. Okay, we're backing out. Tim G, he's just getting his fight on. I like it. It's not about the size of the fight and the dog. It's the size of the dog and the fight. Tim, he's a pretty decent sized guy and also a pretty nice guy. I got to meet him when I was down at World of Racing, so maybe that's not the most applicable statement. Either way, Tim G, shout out to you. Battling on, though, down the start-finish straight as Tim is trying to work his way by Josh. Josh by Andrew and Daniel leading this race at this stage, but for how long, as there's chaos in the background as well. 2x2 by 2x2. It sounds like a rap album. It doesn't sound like a rap album, Mike. Anyways, they continue the fight on here as Josh and Andrew. Daniel leading. Where do you look?
So again, nowhere to run here with single lap pace, because the moment you get out of Catalunya to turn 14, everybody gets an opportunity to strike. Same goes for Repsol. Danny, low to defend. Andrew had a little bit of a peek to the outside, couldn't make that move, run back once again. Now watch Daniel as he immediately goes left, keeps on hugging that inside as we're looking through the eyes of Tim G. Josh now fires it to the outside, tries to get an opportunity. And as I say that, Andrew is gonna sneak his way through in the 58 and get back to the front of this field through TV3. Another peek to the outside from Daniel. Josh right there now, bumper to bumper. If Tim G can get a good exit here out of 8 and use that draft over the hill, again, these are big, expensive moves up front. It's forcing everybody to lose time, and it's going to drag Tim right into this battle. What about David and Ali? They're just a second back. If this keeps going on, it will be a 5-6 car scrap. Big push there from Tim to try and get that inside line to the front into Lakaija. It might be 2 spots lost. We're 3 wide on the exit of turn number 8, almost squeezing on one another. Still not giving a single inch as everybody wants to lead and be at the sharp end. This is peak MX-5 racing, absolute cinema coming through Europe car.
Andrew with a nose ahead right now, but Daniel, he just got squeezed out. I thought he was going to be able to keep his nose in it for a while, but no. Josh also getting in the mix right now, but Tim, he's just sitting and waiting. I love to see it. A big mistake there from Ali. That's going to cost him a couple positions. It is all on his own mistake, unfortunately. Cross the line, side by side once again. Daniel and Andrew back in the mix. It's going to be now Daniel ahead, Andrew in the background, but here comes Josh for the slingshot to the outside. That outside line, yes, you guessed it, it will turn to the inside after long enough, but then, just wait, it'll turn to the out, but it doesn't matter. Josh, brilliant decision making there, just full send baseball, and he is not Aaron Judge and won't drop it on the outfield.
You talk about being confident in your line though, and we see these guys really stretch it all the way to the outside with the curbing into turn 1. That's major faith in your anchors and knowing that the car isn't going to want to swap ends. How about this for Andrew? A late apex, a slingshot coming out of Repsol to work his way back to the front in absolute doghouse. Here at the front of the field, it's hard to expect this really breaking up over the next 14 minutes, but now it's Josh who's going to get in front of Daniel and try and bring this fight. Just further back there, Tim G in the 57 is clawing to get a seat at this table. But as we continue, everybody ramping up the curbs, it's anyone's game here heading into turn number 9.
It certainly is, and the aggression is on right now. This is reminding me of the 90s. I wasn't around in the 90s, but either way, it's still reminding me of Mike Tyson and Fury going at it right now. 2 heavyweights late in the rounds. Now, somebody has to give at some point, but there is still about 5 rounds left to go. The sweat is dripping. But it doesn't matter. You have to keep the fight up right now. And look at this. 2 wide in the background as Andrew tries to fend the coming tide. And Daniel losing ground to Josh right now as Josh is going to find himself in second position now. For how long, you might ask? Well, I don't think anybody knows right now. Daniel still fighting. Josh, though, gonna get a good exit? No, not good enough.
Andrew throwing Danny to the wolves there as Josh was trying to scrap for him, and all those two battling with one another are going to give an opportunity for Andrew to break away. Look at this kind of situation at the line. Already they were 2 wide when they had gotten to the stripe, and it takes just now into the braking zone for Andrew to take a peek into turn 1. Josh goes with Andrew on the outside, and once again we'll go to the front. Great move from Andrew there to get in front of Andy and then kind of shut the door by getting right in front of him. Single file coming out of Repsol. Haven't seen anybody really going with the wide arcing esports line into turn number 4. I think that's because everyone is scared of that door being open. Andrew, though, will go all the way out to try and roll that momentum through the outside. Camber gets a little bit narrow, gets a little bit low there, so exit is difficult. It's Andrew who actually gets the best of that, though, and does the over-under to try the outside. 2 by 2 into turn number 5.
I'm really scratching my head right now, and I think I found the answer out now at this stage. I couldn't tell if Andrew and Daniel were working together to kind of fend Josh off. I think they are to a certain extent, but not fully. And oh no, they're certainly not working together now, as it's a punch to the face and a violent one at that. Andrew is absolutely KO'd and off into the grass. It is devastation, and you could not have cooked that one up in a different manner, unfortunately. That is just, well, I mean, no other way to say it. You hate to see it.
I don't want to call that intentional. Far from it. It looked like Josh just got a little bit wide there coming out of TV3, dropped that outer rear into the grass, and just didn't have enough oversteer correction in time and kind of just clipped that back corner. Unfortunately, it was Andrew that kind of helped Josh straighten that car back out. Back to the front of the field here, though, watching Tim G, and in the blink of an eye, it's become a two-horse race out in front. Do we see some teamwork here between the 55 and the 56, or will these two battling with one another slowly but surely drag the remainder all the way back into fifth into this mix?
I actually think that we're going to see a bit of teamwork here, like you say. I don't think they're teammates, but we are going to see these two, I think, work together. They have to right now. You need to be changing positions or locking bumpers like we're seeing right now. David pushing Josh along. 3 wide in the background, though. This is going to help them out wonders as the 55 or the 16 of Daniel getting involved again here with the 57 of Tim G. He drops that podium position now and is going to be looking at Andreas's nose in his rear view mirror with Tim, his rival, the imposter, back behind him as well. So we're going to see some Tim on Tim violence once more.
Side by side, further back, looks like that's Andres trying to jam it up the inside of the 87. That is Tim and Andres. Just behind, looks like Sean right there almost wants to thread the needle. Is he going to go for it? Goes to the outside, going into 5. Track gets so narrow here, and what you think maybe be a multi-groove corner quickly goes to single, especially down here into TV3. Guys have been getting really, really confident with carrying that speed. You think that curbing on the inside right there, the kind of mint on the right side of your screen is endless, but it gets close and kind of runs out of space really, really quickly. That's where we saw that issue earlier on with Daniel and Andrew. Sean, though, under pressure. Ali and Bradley giving chase heavy, heading into Lakaja.
Yeah, and looking left, looking right, and looking down the center. Oh my goodness, Tim and Tim. No love lost between the two of them. Now, again, we're kind of playing Where's Waldo is sort of what we're looking for at the moment right now, in which Tim is which, and the answer is, well, Tim G is currently leading, so the imposter Tim in the background right now. Tim G behind Andreas, so we'll have that crucial slipstream down the start-finish straight, but he's a little far away. I think he's going to be a sitting duck come the braking zone here. It's down to the exit. Tim has to get a good exit if he wants to get by Tim.
A little bit of breathing room, actually, for Josh this time by. A great lap on a great sector 3, but watch that slipstream effect side by side. The imposter trying to put that move on Tim G in the back of your screen. Josh, not quite within striking distance from David just behind, but slowly and surely reeling him in. Here comes the imposter trying the long way around the outside. Script flips, heading into turn number 2. Done deal for Tim in the 87.
Yeah, nice little move there. The imposter is now up into 5th. Tim G got caught sleeping on the straight. He tried to fight it back there at the end, but not able to just yet. Sean, though, love to see again some of the newer names to World of Racing in the mix right now, and Sean battling it out with Ali, one of the pretty much, I guess, veterans of World of Racing at this point. Down to the inside, potentially, it's going to turn to the out. Great defense from Sean. That's exactly where you want to place the car in that corner. Bradley, also in the mix here. Battle for the lead still on, though. We can see David and Josh right on each other's tails. Now, are they working together? Are they battling? Well, let's watch a little bit and let's find out. I sense they're still working together, but let's see. As we go down here towards Lacacia, this is when we're going to see if the gloves are off.
Looks like there was definitely a push there going into 9, Mike. You could see the back of the 55 of Josh kind of jump and get frustrated. Are we going to see an exchange in lead? Big dive here into Lakaja from David, almost intersecting lines and going door to door, but David able to anticipate and back out, widen that arc, and this looks it certainly doesn't look like a peaceful ordeal between the two, and it looks like Josh is going to get his way to the front here.
Yeah, he certainly is for now, at least. As we go down the start-finish straight, I think that's going to be a different song and dance. Very wide line being used here for David. That's going to carry a lot of momentum. Again, back and forth, beating a dead horse on this one, but these cars, they're so momentum-based. Your exit is everything, and as we go on board here with David, we can see we're side by side. Jumping off now into the third perspective, is this going to be David taking the lead again? I think so. This is that, I guess, yeah, dance that you could say that they're playing right now. Just trading back and forth, not losing time, but not gaining much either, whilst they allow the rest of the pack to sort of fight amongst the wolves, and whoever ends wherever, they don't really care.
Yep, field's kind of starting to break into an archipelago here. David and Josh continuing to battle. What about our imposter? He's closed that gap over to Andres. You look at Daniel in P3 in that red machine, kind of on his own, and further back, Ali and Bradley going at it into Repsol. I believe that's Ali just behind.
Oh.
And the Pennzoil car, one car around. Daniel with a big lick. What has happened here between our two leaders?
It's David that's round. The one who was going for the redemption arc, David, has ended up binning it. Now, was that contact with Josh? I can only assume so. How that unfolded, unfortunately, we don't know. That is so devastating for the one that I mean, again, no favorites from the commentary booth, but I just wanted to see David get another win. He's had some hard races, and unfortunately, that is why he keeps getting caught up into incidents, and you just have to keep your nose clean. To finish a race first you have to finish.
But now that's no help for Josh. The magic question now, what can Daniel do in the Crimson 16? Will he be able to dig and get his way to the rear bumper of the 55? That gap has been slowly diving under a second, was about 1.2 around lap 4. And again, those two battling each other was actually kind of helping Daniel bring himself into this mix. But again, neither driver's getting help right now. How are these two going to interact with one another with 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go? Still a big scrap further back as Andres holds off Tim for that bottom spot on the podium. You see the imposter has been charging forward so hard. Looks like we missed Ali potentially losing some spots further back, but Tim sets a radar lock for Andres, gets on the bumper. They'll lock as they go past the scoring pylon, past pit exit. What's the move from the imposter coming into the braking zone? Looks like, well, he lifts off early, which is good anticipation there for Tim. Last thing you want to do is drive into the guy in front of you. You should be able to hit or to not hit what you can see. Yeah. And Tim continues to kind of hold Andres at bay. This becomes our 120-mile-an-hour study session, looking for the right opportunity to sneak by.
I'm not so sure he is. I think right now Tim is just content. There's 4.5 minutes left. There's no need to make an overtake. He knows what's going to happen. If he makes an overtake on Andreas is just going to overtake him. There's no way of avoiding it. When you have the slipstream, it is so powerful. The straight is over half a mile. It's 0.65 of a mile, 1,000 meters in length. There's no way of holding on, especially in these MX-5s. You get a good enough exit through the final corner, you're going to trade positions. It is what it is, and you have to accept that if you want to move forward. And that's what they're doing. I think they're just kind of working together. Tim giving a bump draft rather than switching positions. And oh no, speaking of bad bumps, Bradley, he's ended up pitched into the barrier, and that's going to be a little bit of unhelpfulness for Ali, as again, that's his slipstream buddy, that's his bump draft buddy gone, and that's only going to help out our top 4.
So again, it's kind of that IndyCar oval racing mentality with how heavy the draft is on these grade 1 circuits for these cars. If I'm going to kind of put a pass on someone, I want to give them not enough time to kind of mount a comeback. Andrew, though, has been mounting a pretty significant comeback. Just cleared a mod for P9, trying to put the pressure on David, who's fallen back. And this is a section of the track where we really haven't seen too much side-by-side action. No trouble for Andrew, though, who advances his way in to P7. It will be about 2 laps to go here, this time by Josh, continuing to hold off Daniel, keeping that gap at about a second. Podium still anyone's game.
Absolutely. And this is a very poor situation for David, I feel. Yes, he has a slipstream, but I think at this point his tires are getting into the gutter right now. He's going for an overtake. He's optimistic in terms of his grip here. He just needs to make sure he uses it. Oh, goodness, a mod to the outside, I'm not so sure about, but either way, that's going to be a commitment fully from the 56 down to the inside. David not able to make it stick, though, not just yet, at least. Outside for Ali? No, not going to find any light of day. But this track, it's a very high abrasive circuit. So this has a high aggregate, meaning there's big rocks and big gaps between the rocks, meaning your tires are going to get torn to shreds. Tim doesn't seem to care. And is going to be, or excuse me, David doesn't seem to care and is going to be trying to go and make hay while the sun is up, saying, hold my beer, I'm going down into the water. Let's see, down towards turn 5. Is this going to be the move on? Oh my goodness, I think we're watching a kettle boil right now, and I don't think anybody is attending it.
It's a really, really good scrap here. Andrew still at the front of this field, but that draft continues to keep Dave and Ahmad in contention. Just a little bit further up on your screen to your right, Tim digging away, trying to work on Ali for P5. But Andrew, after being on the attack for so much of this race, knows that this is about as far as he can go at this point in this second race and has to defend. Here comes Ahmad in that purple car with a look to the outside. David goes middle there to try and defend from both. Oh my goodness, Andrew, absolute confidence there in the 58, just barely mowing the grass there on the outside of Lakaja. And that is keeping David and Andrew right in this mix.
White flag is going to be out on this lap. Josh just crossing the line as we speak. And Daniel, he's right in the wing mirrors right now, just nearly 8/10 in the background. Is he close enough? This is the time to strike, like a viper waiting in the wings. He's not close enough, unfortunately, and he's going to have to go for it into Lacacia. That is going to be his last opportunity to really make the lead of this race happen. Josh has done a stellar job of walking away with this one.
That gap is still closing, though. It's almost been cut in half since lap 8, and it continues to narrow here as we work onto Repsol. Is Josh going to be able to close this one out down to 600, 500? And it looks like Josh might be able to really dig. Has he been saving something in these Hankook tires? Could he be able to close? It was a great exit from Josh there coming out of Repsol, and all of a sudden it's looking like a bigger mountain for Daniel to climb at the tail end of this thing.
And the tail end we're reaching. This is the pinnacle, folks. The final real opportunity on the way up through Verth into Kamsa and down the hill towards Lacacia. It's a terrible entry for Josh, and this is going to be Daniel's opportunity. Is the gap too much, though? Yes, 1 second. I don't want to call it insurmountable, but even with a little bit of a wiggle from Josh, it's going to be quite a difficult one to mount. The outside line, the inside line, it doesn't matter. It's all futile. Josh holds the racing line and is going to look like he's taking this one to the checkered flag. Just a couple corners left to go. Into Bank Sabadell, through Eurocar, and then New Holland is all there is left here for our leader, Josh. And the number 55 into the penultimate quarter complex. Pretty much easy mode at this point. Make the final few corners. Hit the curb on the right. Onto the accelerator, and Josh here with 1 corner left to go. He has done it, folks. He is going to take your race victory for round 2 and race 4 of the MX-5 Championship for World of Racing. Daniel finishes in second, just 1.1 seconds behind. Andreas finishes in third. The hard-fought effort. Tim finishing ahead of Tim G, and Ali in the middle.
We must have missed something there for Andrew, Mike, because he is in the pits already in 18th. So might have been a major incident further back. Was going to talk about what a phenomenal recovery that was there for the 58. And a lot of guys, I mean, this was kind of that Daytona. Oh my goodness, big wiggle there as it looks like. I want to say that's right. Was serpentining just a little bit too much on his way to the line. That should not be that funny for me, but it was, and everybody kind of weaving their way to the line here. But man, that you want to talk about that classic MX-5 style of racing that we see at Daytona, really having that peloton format, and it genuinely felt like it was anyone's game the minute we go around, and that is that absolute cinema that we are looking for in MX-5 racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have planned that one better. Of course, we had the one race restart, but after that, it was smooth sailing as we go. Barcelona, a great track. One of the, absolutely, you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, one of the best tracks in terms of the test track layouts, and it absolutely never fails to deliver, especially with these little cars that could. The MX-5s, seeing brilliant racing all the way around again, touching back to Laguna Seca, could not have planned a better one. What a calendar here tonight, Jackson. And as we get ready to wrap this up, is there anything else that you'd like to say before we close?
It's always fun to come here on Wednesday nights and come and watch some phenomenal racing with you guys. World of Racing never fails to disappoint, but we appreciate everybody, whether you're here in World of Racing or watching from your homes, to come and contribute to what has always been a blast for me and Mike to call. So we'll re-rack them, do it again in a couple weeks' time. But, Mike, I think it's time for us to land this plane.
Yes, indeed, folks. Don't forget that this Sunday on the 10th, we are going to be having COTA 2.4 hours. So if that's something that interests you folks, sign up. Are available at World of Racing. Definitely you want to check that out. You do not want to miss it. 2.4 hours of COTA. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be a slugfest, but my goodness, it's going to be a good time. And on that note, folks, I thank you all for tuning in here, whether you're watching the VOD or live. We thank you so much. I hope everyone has had a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.